Hey, I'm Ben Silverio.
And I'm Erin Cline.
And I'm Ansel Burch.
And it's
time to
party.
We are not doctors. We don't give medical advice. Please drink responsibly. Today's episode was recorded on January 20th, 2025.
Party people, welcome back to the show that never ends until it does. We are the greatest show on earth to these three people specifically. We are time to party. Thank you for joining us. We are stoked to come back to you for our fourth year. Man, we've been doing this for a while. And in celebration of that, we have our original co-host back with us, Erin Cline.
Hi, hello everyone. I'm so happy to be back for this movie that I love.
Yes, we absolutely had to talk about this movie because, I mean, it's my favorite of the trilogy. This trilogy truly is what spawned this idea. It strengthened my friendship with Erin. It has done a lot for so many over the years, and so now we're finally going to talk about it.
Yay!
Because here we are with our review of Back to the Future Part 2.
I love that you could do 4 years of this show before getting back to the Future 2, because that means that you have enough movies and you have enough people who want to do it and who want to talk about it too. I think that that's great, and we should put a pin in to celebrate that. So I love that you guys have continued this project, and that 4 years later we can get to something that I think people would have thought of immediately and would have been of course they're going to do that right away. So it's nice to be 4 years in and be all right, yeah,
we saved it.
Yeah,
we saved it.
Let's hit him with the big hit.
We did. And for if whatever reason you don't know about Back to the Future Part 2, our good friends at Rotten Tomatoes have this to say. In this zany sequel, time-traveling duo Marty McFly and Dr. Emmett Brown return from saving Marty's future son from disaster, only to discover their own time transformed. In this nightmarish version of Hill Valley, Marty's father has been murdered by Biff Tannen. Marty's nemesis has profited. After uncovering the secret to Biff's success, a sports almanac from the future, Marty and the Doc embark on a quest to repair the space-time continuum. Yeah, that's the whole thing. That one
certainly got more spirit.
Yeah, I was just going to say, they certainly have some audacity to say that they're fixing the timeline when it's them who fucked it up.
It's true. It's their fault that it's fucked up anyway.
You break the vase and you glue it back together. It was still fixing.
Yeah, exactly. You did still break it.
You did. I do like that idea of that the ancient technique of melting down gold in order to fix something.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
The Japanese art. I can't remember what it's called off the top of my head.
Yeah, me too.
Where they inlay it with gold. I love that.
It's super
so
cool.
Beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Hey there, friends. It's been a while since we did one of these, but it's Ansel coming in as your host and post to let you know that art form is called kintsugi. That's kintsugi, Kintsugi, and it literally translates to gold seams. So there you go. A little extra edutainment in the review episode. Enjoy.
Man, there are just so many things that you could say about this movie, but I want to start with this only has a 63% on the tomato meter on Rotten Tomatoes and an 86% on the popcorn meter.
86.
What the hell?
I'm surprised 86. That seems really high as an audience review. 63 makes sense because, again, so many people find this timeline confusing, and so many people are it's too busy, there's too much going on. So I'm not totally surprised by that. They're wrong, but I'm not surprised.
They're so wrong.
They're wrong, but I get it. Yeah.
I mean, it could just be my incredible bias, but I feel like Back to the Future Part 2 is one of the best sequels ever.
Oh, I would totally agree with that.
Top
I know that
5 at least.
It's hard because Evil Dead 1 and Evil Dead 2 are the same movie. They're just done with a higher budget. And so that's hard too. Because that undeniably is a better than the first one sequel. But again, they're doing it on purpose.
Right.
Let's see.
I mean, Captain America: The Winter Soldier is a great sequel.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Uh,
Aliens.
Aliens.
Yeah, and another like totally different from the first movie, but like in a really good and thoughtful way. That's a good example.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh, there's just
I can't stop thinking of bad ones. The only bad one that keeps running through my head is Miss Congeniality 2. One of the worst sequels I've ever seen in my life. A fine romp would have been fine as its own comedy. It was terrible as a sequel.
Oh. Bring It On Again.
No. Well,
Bring it on some more.
yeah, no thank you. No thank you.
I believe the third one was Bring It On All or Nothing.
I believe you're correct, actually. I'm pretty sure that's true.
I think
They missed Bring Some More on.
It's
honestly.
true. But then at a certain point, they turned it into a horror movie. I think for the fifth or sixth one, like it's a horror movie.
What?
We have talked about this before. Yeah.
It's wild.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't.
They were like this cheerleading quintuple. You know what we're gonna do? Make it Black Christmas. Fuck it, throw it in there.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I mean, if you can take the banana splits and turn it into a horror movie,
Yeah.
Sure.
Anything can be a horror movie.
like that.
Winnie the Pooh.
Yeah, and there's a new movie in that universe or Pooh-niverse about Peter Pan.
Oh.
Disgusting.
Oh.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's wild. But I just love saying.
Is that series just called It's Public Domain Now, Bitches?
Probably it should be.
I love that. Is there a podcast series about that? There should be. That would
There
be
absolutely should be.
fascinating.
Is that the next iteration of X-Trex?
I would make that podcast with you.
Love it. I'm gonna have to put that pin that in my brain.
There's so many things that have already been said about Back to the Future Part 2, and it's like hard to like bring up new and engaging things about it. So I don't know why this was the first thing that popped in my head, but Terry in 2015 when Terry's like save the clock tower and the Cubbies, I would put money on the Cubbies. I forgot that he was the guy who was fixing Biff's car. Like he gives Biff the quote. Yeah.
Oh my God. I didn't even notice this.
Crazier.
Like, everything flew over my head this time.
Like even crazier. Do you know who that actor is?
No.
That is Charles Fleischer, better known as the voice of Roger Rabbit.
Oh.
Isn't that wild?
What?
Christopher Lloyd's in the movie. I'm doing it.
Yes, in. Oh my God.
Would you like a small part? And he was like, yes, I would.
Yes, I would.
I did not notice that.
Yeah. I'm sure this is something that I knew before, but when I was going through it this time around, I was just like, holy shit. Is it? And I double checked and it totally was. Speaking of Who Framed Roger Rabbit, Disneyland does a thing called the Oogie Boogie Bash during Halloween season when they have like villains and that have like trick or treat trails where kids can interact with the character and get free candy and all this shit, right? One of the villains that they added was Christopher Lloyd's Judge Doom from Who Framed Roger Rabbit. And there's this great
scary
moment. It's so scary because there's a moment where he takes that shoe, like the tune, and puts it in dip. And the effects that they use to make it happen are so fucking cool. I want to see it in person so bad, but I don't want to pay for Oogie Boogie Bash.
For real.
I could just go to.
Do they just like lower them into a trapdoor and then like pull back out a
like it's actually
or
like
something?
a pool? It's like a drum of liquid that they're dipping it into, but it's just like the effects make it look like it's like disintegrating and burning up into the thing. You know,
that's so cool. Kind of like sugar based, where like the water itself is what makes it start to do the fizzy dissolving.
Maybe, or it's just like smoke effects and good timing and lighting and all that stuff. But no matter how they do it, it looks great. If you could find it on YouTube somewhere, like it's truly great.
Man, I haven't watched
And
Who Framed Roger Rabbit in a long time, like over a decade, easily. It was
I
a great
love that movie.
It's so good. Yeah.
I
I think I watched it
remember
like last year.
I remember being obsessed with it when I was younger, and like when we were younger, Who Framed Roger Rabbit was a bigger property at Disneyland specifically because they had the Roger Rabbit cartoon spin in Toontown.
Oh
And Roger was
yeah,
supposed to be a much bigger character in the realm of Disney parks, but for whatever reason, the movie didn't take off in the way that they thought it would. Even though it's like one of the greatest movies of all time, in my
because
opinion.
it's camp. Sometimes like camp, either people get it immediately, or
Yep.
camp is like 15, 20 years later, people rewatch it and are like, oh, it's like Showgirls. Incredible movie, so
Right.
fucking good, but people thought it was a joke, and it's like it literally is. It's satire. It's a black satire, and
Yep.
like I don't understand why people can't see that now today. Like, how can you not look at that and be like, camp? That's fucking camp.
It's true. Tu Wong Fu, thanks for everything, Julie Newmar.
Would you like to
Oh,
know?
yeah.
Do you want to know another Gene Kelly fact?
Yes, please.
Yeah.
The movie that's considered the first ever camp movie is Singing in the Rain with Gene Kelly.
Love it.
Oh.
Isn't that crazy? I mean, if you like watch the movie and you think about it, it's like, oh, totally. It's big. It has this like send up of itself. It's kind of meta.
Yeah.
Like it has these
Super meta.
bright things. Yeah, it has like all of this stuff that's like each character has something you can find within it later that's like big and crazy, and like that's the first camp movie. It makes me so happy.
I have tickets to go see Singing in the Rain on the big screen this week.
It's
That's
the
cool.
best.
Yes.
I've
Shout
never
out to
seen it.
Vidiots, one of my favorite theaters here in LA. They have a theater, but they're also a video store. And
Really?
phenomenal.
I love that. Man, I'm
Mhm.
jealous. I've never seen Singing in the Rain in like a movie theater on a big screen like that.
oh yeah, I'm super stoked. You should check out the Music Box and see if they're showing it, because they
Yeah,
do
I love the
occasionally.
music box. Yeah.
Me
Isn't
too.
that where
Oh,
didn't we saw Back to the Future 3 in theaters, right? Was that
we did, but I thought that was at an AMC.
You're right. It wasn't an AMC. Now that you say that. That was a huge theater we were in.
But
Anyway.
I did see all three of the Back to the Future movies at the Music Box as the last movie I saw in Chicago as a resident. Lavender Vixen and I went and watched the whole thing. She thought that chimichangas would be a good movie snack. It was a little hard to eat, but very delicious.
Why you sit in the back row. That's it. That's why you sit in the back row.
Yep.
Favorite place. Huh. Anyway, let's return back to
Future Part 2.
Let's go back to Back to the Future Part 2. Okay,
Yes.
that was interesting.
Yes.
You didn't know that. Let me ask you a question about
Okay.
Back to the Future 2. What is your favorite part of this one?
Oh man.
Mm.
I really love the chase through the square, with the hoverboards.
Mhm.
Like I
Yes.
love a callback. So to see how they do it in this one versus the first one, I think is really fun. I also used to get a
Unless
kick.
you have power, you get that
Exactly.
line.
I used
The
to get
best.
a kick out of that part because he's just like, McFly, you bojo. It's so dumb. But like, I really love that part. I think it's so fun. And this time around, I forgot that it was so early in the movie.
Yes, I also did. Because you think of it as the first movie, where it's like pretty far into the first movie before
Right.
that happens, because there's a lot of
Mhm.
exposition before that. Whereas this one, they're like, you already have the exposition. Let's fucking go.
Mhm.
Like,
Yep.
Time travel car. Got it. All right.
yeah,
Boom.
exactly. Like, I love that part. You're right. Just like in this one, just like in the first one, like one of the things they're the best at is really showing how awful Biff and his gang are, right? That they're
Mhm.
bullies, that they have basically nothing redeeming about them. Like being able to watch it during the second one, like especially being aware, having seen it a million times, like what's coming with that character additionally also. Like I agree, I like that scene a lot. It's so good.
Oh,
That's
yes.
good. Yeah.
And right before we see the young Elijah Wood playing Wild Gunman.
every single time that happens, I'm both like, oh yeah, and then like, what the fuck? I forget he was a child actor. That's part of it. I've seen that one with him and Macaulay Culkin, which is fucking horrifying. Bad Son or Good Son, Bad Son, terrible, horrifying. We'll never watch it as a parent.
Haven't seen it.
Oh, it's two children who basically try to kill each other over and over. Macaulay Culkin's the bad guy. Elijah Wood is the child being corrupted. Anyway, I've seen that, and then him in Back to the Future 2, and like, that's it. So in my brain, I'm like, you appeared in Lord of the Rings, never before that. Just not
I think for me, it's got to be the very end scene when he gets the letter from Doc in the 1800s.
Oh.
I know it's like the least exciting part of the movie, but that's the kind of time travel shit that I get into.
Yes.
Man, and it's such a beautiful like coda. You know, you get all this good time travel shit. You get all of the like, you know, back and forth with the car and all the, you know, like the whole movie has happened, and it's fucking dope all the way through. And then you get this little nugget of my favorite kind of time travel nonsense, letters from the past delivered on an exact moment because you know this is where I just so good.
And I don't know who plays that guy, the agent or
the Wells Fargo guy.
He's in everything.
I think part of it is I just see him and I'm like, blank. And I think that that's part of it too, is that he does feel very like middle of the night. This dude is just any dude. Like, I love his delivery too, where he's like all abrupt and you're like, oh no, this dude is angry. And then he's like, anyway, I'm from the Postal Service. Kind of shocked that you're here a little bit. It's like, I love that interaction.
Just lost a bet.
Right? Oh man. Really didn't think you were going to be here in the rain. Could have stayed in the car. Yeah, I agree. I love that scene. Okay.
Is he the same guy who plays the dad in Freaks and Geeks?
Oh, maybe. I've never seen Freaks and Geeks.
Could be.
Like, really?
Oh. I really liked it a lot. Linda Cardinelli is super good in it. And then obviously young Jason Segel and Seth Rogen. Kind of hard to watch James Franco stuff now.
Mm-hmm.
But Tom Wilson is in it.
That's part of why I was like, I'll probably never watch this.
And is very good. I'm just checking really quick. Sorry. Because now I'm like, what if it is?
Now you want to know who that guy is?
See?
Oh man, Busy Phillips was also
in
on
Extracts. I'm like, do I have a question about who this is? Bobby, tell me who this person is.
That was a fucking genius move to have Bobby's whole segment be, okay, this is who this person is.
Fucking for right. Like, we talked about it when we were like plan storming, when we were putting it together, the idea together before we actually started doing it. And that was what we said. We were like, it would be nice because he was around for like X-Files as a property that was like live. He was like old enough to remember it, and so we were like, well, put them together, tell us who the fuck these people are. I don't want to look it up. And it just turned into like such a good cap on those episodes too, where it's like, it's the same thing of, I can't believe that's that same person, or like, you've seen this person in 17 other episodes. Like, oh, I have.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, I love that stuff too. I think it's fascinating.
I got stuck in the revolving door of Star Trek.
Yes, exactly. We've never had a full, I think maybe, wait, hold on. I think we just had our only full hit of someone who was on both TOS and the X-Files. I think.
Ooh.
We've gotten close a couple of times where it's been like a different Star Trek and the X-Files.
Sure.
Anyway, sorry, that's a fucking huge sidebar.
No,
but
it's
hey,
okay.
Hey, listeners, check out Extracts. It's dope.
Yeah, come listen to my podcast, Extracts. It's about the X-Files and Star Trek, the original series. We pick a theme and then we talk about our feelings. It's a fucking wild ride.
It's so good.
Yeah. Come listen to us talk about Ryan Reynolds, young, dumb, full of cum. Like, it's a great show. It's like, Extracts is the best.
Yep.
That is truly Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah.
The essence of him, really.
I know.
Yep.
Nailed it.
He's just
Totally
older now,
nailed it.
that's all.
Middle-aged, dumb, full of cum.
Yeah. He made a whole career out of it in the Marvel universe.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
Oh my god.
So,
Jesus Christ. All right,
so
well,
I
I'm glad
totally
that
nailed it. Joe
that pitch for
Flaherty.
extracts went well.
that is a great
Joe Flaherty.
Yes, Joe Flaherty does play the dad in Freaks and Geeks, in addition to the Western Union Man from Back to the Future Part 2. But
Western Union, not Wells Fargo.
I also forgot that he was in Detroit Rock City as the priest, and he was in Happy Gilmore as the jeering fan. This dude was everywhere.
Character actors, the best.
Yep, the backbone of the industry.
Absolutely, 100%.
Unfortunately, he passed
Anyone who
away
actually
last
works in
year.
the industry gets it.
Oh no!
Yeah. On April Fool's
Oh.
Day.
Oh, that's a
Oh,
hard
did he
day.
really then?
That's a hard day to go.
Yeah.
That's a super hard day to go.
Oh man, he was on SCTV. Like, this dude has had a career. Man.
Yeah.
Good for
What a
him.
day to die.
I know.
Again, character actors getting work. It's the best. Then they can retire, hopefully, maybe.
Get that bag.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Get that bag. We're a big fan of Get That Bag at Time to Party. Ethically.
Yep.
Hopefully.
Yes.
So what's your favorite scene, Erin?
We sort of talked about this.
Segment.
We sort of talked about this in the last episode about like the continuity. People get confused, but I really do love the magazine chasing. I love that the Strickland is involved in it. I love the reveal of Ooh La La. I love that like it's very funny to me that Biff's instinct was to rewrap with the cover but not throw the thing away. I like that also as like a thing we learn about his character is that even though he thought this old man was stupid, like he did actually take care to keep this thing protected. And like I just love that Marty's like really chasing it and he's like, I'm gonna get this, and he opens it and he's like, ooh la la, ooh la la, ooh la la, and I like every single time it just works for me. And like he looks up and sees the scenes from the first movie happening while this is happening too. Like him hiding in the staircase, I think is very funny. I really like that one. I think for me it really encapsulate what I like about the second one. I like that it's zany. I like that there's a lot of physical prop comedy in it. Like that really works for me. Hard second, very close to that, is the scene in the house. Again, Jennifer coming in, lights on, ma'am, you should really reprogram this. All of the people coming out. Like, I love that no one in the family, this is so true to today. I love that no one in the family notices that she's young. Not a single fucking person in the house is like, what happened to your face? Like, they just, I guess, assume that she could de-age somehow, or they just, what I assume is like don't look up from their phones, are not actually paying attention. And
they're
like,
not.
everything
Right.
just goes completely past them. Turn the screens on. Let me go in here and do this, which again, eerily similar to today. But like, I love that look of what that house and what that family looks like. And like, you get this reveal also that Marty is like a middle manager. You get this look into his life that you're not expecting, and you can see why he's angry and upset. And like, I just love the way that it works together in the second one. Like, I think they use that space so effectively.
Oh, yes.
Agreed. I love that.
Another thing that I think they do incredibly effectively is foreshadowing, because they were shooting 2 and 3 simultaneously, or if
Yes.
not one after the other, right? So you could put some like seeds into the second one that lead perfectly into the third one, like Biff watching the Eastwood movie, and Mad Dog Tannen and all that stuff. So I think it was really smart storytelling to be like, hey, remember this thing that's gonna come up later.
I think it's interesting too that we see him watching this Western in what is actually not the real timeline too. That like we are getting this foreshadowing, but it's from not real time also. And so that's a good luck into Biff as like a holistic character, that's something that is like inside of him at every single point. We just don't see it in the same ways until fake the second and then back in the third in the West. But you're right. I love that foreshadowing. I love when you've seen the third one that you can Easter egg it.
Stunning. It's so good.
And it's funny too, because I feel like not necessarily in a bad way, but like one feels like its own movie because it was not intended to
Mhm.
be past that. The end was just supposed to be like a singer or whatever. But like 2 and 3 feel so similar to each other, while the first one feels very distinct and different in its own way. And
Mhm.
so I think it's kind of interesting and funny that as a trilogy they all fit very well together, but these two, like you said, really really work like in tandem in a way that like just was not possible before. And like I like that the second and third one are more zany because it makes the trilogy as a whole work in the back half in a way that I don't know that it would have without these particular pieces, like this zany like romp comp. I don't know what the romp is the right word there for it, but like, you know, like a zany back and forth time travel piece, and then you like get this very still and calm sort of until it explodes in the West, and what that looks like on the other side of the first one, which is just like this is normal. It's always like this. Anyway, that's kind of a ramble, but to say the same thing, I think that they use the filmmaking in such an incredible way that even though they're very different from the first one, everything feels so good and fits so wholly together.
So good. Just so good.
I know. I'm just like sitting here thinking about how much I love this movie.
Something that I did want to bring up that we did talk about in the first episode was Crispin Glover, because you know, a lot of people, they think he's in the second and third one, but he's not. They have a different actor in prosthetics to get new shots of George McFly, spliced up with you know, old footage that they didn't use in the first one. And I know that Crispin Glover, you know, was on the Opie and Anthony show back in 2013 talking about it, and he was just like, he never liked the way that the new guy, Jeffrey Weissman, was playing George. Like he would have done it very differently, and yet people think that it's him because nobody really talks about it. I feel like people talk about it a little bit more now, but like Crispin Glover not doing this movie because he didn't like the script and the salary or whatever, but then for him to like go on to make such an impact in Hollywood, you know, with this really important thing that now, hey, you can't use my likeness without paying me. Like this is an ongoing thing in Hollywood still with the rise of AI and all that stuff. So Crispin Glover was like the first one to the barricade for this.
Yeah, man. It's like I said in the first episode too, it's such a hard thing to do, to go up against a studio and be like, fuck you, give me my money. Like it's a hard decision to make, and especially as an actor who knows that they'll almost certainly be blacklisted whether they win or lose that case. Like it
Yep.
And especially coming
Studio's not going to take that nicely.
right, exactly. And like coming out of such a wildly successful movie to be able to like, yeah, I'm gonna fuck them, they recast me, and I don't care if it ruins my career, I'm gonna get this. Like I think that it's awesome. Just in case anyone doesn't know, we haven't like specifically said it yet this time. Crispin Glover sued the studios so that he could make sure that we would never have to deal with that going forward as actors, that like you can't play a movie with someone else's face on it on a TV in a movie and not give them representational money. Like that's just how that works. You can't steal emotional. You can't steal intellectual property. And Crispin Glover made them write that shit into law. He really went run it back like that. It made an incredible change in Hollywood, and also, as Ben was saying, with AI, like it could be one of the things that keeps that from happening. Like that's crazy. That is such an intergenerational impact on Hollywood that like that I don't think gets talked about enough, that he really fucking went for it.
Because, you know, I don't know how public facing he is these days, but I do hope that he's, you know, still fighting the fight for this. You know, like I hope he's still in it. Because, like, obviously, a lot of people in Hollywood are very up in arms about what's going on.
Yeah.
But, like, he was like, he was like among the first wave, you know.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
Yep.
hopefully he can still hopefully people can still look at this franchise as the great series that it is, while also still having its problems and issues like this. You know, like
Yeah.
it's one thing to have a problematic fave, but it's another thing to acknowledge the areas in which it's problematic.
I also think that it's worth acknowledging that because this was on the cutting edge of that moment, you know, like there wasn't a precedent for that not being allowed.
Sure.
And that doesn't make it right and it doesn't make it okay, but it means that it has a place in the historicity of this truth that, you know, this is the time when we said, no, stop it.
Yeah.
And I think that's worth acknowledging because this is not otherwise a problematic film, as far as I'm aware. You know, it shouldn't ruin your enjoyment of the film as long as you have an awareness of that historicity, that place that it has in the conversation.
You know, you said something, Ansel, about this, like, as far as you know, not having like a bad history or like something that would detract really from watching this. I didn't realize, like, until you said that out loud, like, that's kind of crazy that these are 3 movies that were shot and filmed in the early to mid 80s and really fucking hold up. Super, super hold up. And I've never heard anything about anyone who was involved in this movie being a huge piece of shit, which is like just astronomical after this many years. So I don't know, you said that and I was like, wow, that is actually pretty cool.
Right? Like, if you let's cherish that shit.
Exactly.
Yeah, because like none of these people have come out as being like super racist or like,
yeah,
you know,
like I'm sure that Crispin Glover and Eric Stoltz may have other opinions, but you know, as
they
a
keep
whole,
them inside. That's fine.
right. As a whole, it seems like it's largely untouched by all of that terrible stuff that comes up with entertainment.
Yeah, that's wild. Cool.
I mean, good for them, right? Like,
What a
that's
good
great.
realization.
And hey, folks at home, if you know something we're missing,
Absolutely,
tweet us.
I would like
or
to.
Don't tweet us.
Yes,
reach out anywhere but that.
Yeah, don't. I'm not on X. Fuck that.
One way that Back to the Future has stayed alive and relevant is through the theater. And I just wanted to bring this up because Back to the Future, the musical, was here in LA and I saw it. It was in Chicago too, but I don't think either of you saw it.
No, but one of my very good friends saw it.
Oh yeah?
Had
the soundtrack is amazing.
I haven't listened to the soundtrack. That is the other thing, is I only know about people from their mouth what it was like to be in the theater while they were watching it. And it sounds
weird.
Yes. You use the word weird. My good friend, I went to theater school with him and he went to see it and he was like, what the fuck was that? He really likes Back to the Future and he got to the end and was like, I didn't realize until you said it out loud to me how different exactly the like theme of it was by the end scene. And he was like, but it didn't matter because the rest of it was fucking bad. I didn't like it. Like...
The thing that I will say was really good about it was the technical aspects.
That's what I've heard.
Spoiler alert, the DeLorean fucking flies at the end. And not like a wicked one up and like but like it like hovers around and then goes back in time and it's fucking sick. It like that moment like chills. And like the scene where they're trying to get the car up to 88 miles per hour, fucking incredible. The way that they use mixed media to make it happen. But one of the things that they change about the DeLorean is that they make it voice activated in addition to needing the gigawatts.
Interesting.
And it's
interesting.
It's real dumb. It's so unnecessary. It's not even like like sure in theater you want to make sure that things are bigger, bolder, brighter, but this does nothing to add to the story or the staging or any of it, and that's just one
Also,
of the many things
wouldn't that
that's
like
like
cut?
weird.
Wouldn't that cut at the knees of Biff getting into the car in the second one? Right? He wouldn't have been able to open it.
Yeah,
What the
it's
fuck?
Yeah.
like why would they do
They just
that?
killed the whole second movie. What? Why would you do that?
Yeah, it's really ridiculous.
Yeah,
I
it
don't
had
know.
so
I
many
wonder if they
people.
just thought like verisimilitude wise it needed it. Like, I don't think that's right, but I'm trying to think what would possibly justify you wanting to do that.
I don't know. Maybe it's because you
Did it have somebody's voice? Was it like Jennifer's voice or something?
No, it felt like Knight Rider. Like,
Oh, so it was just another 80s reference.
yeah, maybe like, but it wasn't like a voice that anyone recognized. It was like the announcer's voice at the beginning that tells you to like turn off your cell phones. So like, I don't know.
Ooh, I have a question. Is it
Yes.
did they interact with the DeLorean a lot? Like, was there a ton of interacting with it, or was the voice like basically stopping the interaction? Because that I understand. If the car has to like not get fucked up in order to fly, I understand why they would try and take every step back from having to interact with it. Because then, right, if you're opening it with your voice, like it's a controlled mechanism from inside the car. Like you're not trying to like
Oh,
yank it
yeah, I
up.
could see that.
So that makes sense to me as like a prop reason, but like as a storyline reason, it doesn't really make sense.
Yeah,
so I assume
I
it's
kind
a
of
prop
buy that.
reason.
I guess it makes sense. It just was very unnecessary. But then like another thing that kind of took me out of it too was that Biff and Doc, the actors that were playing them, were doing essentially impressions of Christopher Lloyd and Tom Wilson. So you know, you really need to like make it your own in order for it to work, which I feel like the performers on Broadway did, because what's his name, Roger Bart, who was the voice of Hercules, and you know he was in The Producers and all that. He was Doc Brown on Broadway, and in the performance that I saw, I think from the Tonys, like I think he made it work. But when I saw it as part of the show live, I was just like, oh, this doesn't really work.
That's like, oh my god, I saw oh my god, To Kill a Mockingbird when it was in Chicago, and it was written for what's his fuck from the Newsroom. He one of the Jeffries. Can't remember his fucking name.
Oh my god, Dumb and Dumber, right?
Yes.
Jeff Daniels.
Jeff Daniels, yes.
Yeah.
It was this revival. It was Aaron Sorkin who redid the To Kill a Mockingbird for the stage. Excuse me. And that part was Atticus was written for Jeff Daniels. Like it is so clear watching it that it's written for Jeff Daniels by Aaron Sorkin. Like it's just super clear that that's what's happening there. But it wasn't him who was playing it. It was, this is such a deep cut reference. It was one of the guys from the Tim Curry version of It. He was the writer with the long ponytail. That was the guy that I saw play Atticus Finch, and he was fucking great. He was so good, but it was so weird to watch him try to make this interpretation of his character work when it was clearly only written for Jeff Daniels. And like I wonder if maybe that's part of it too, is if this character is like really closely molded to the Broadway character, anything is going to feel weird. You know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
It's it's just, oh man, I went into it so stoked, but like even the arrangement of the music was weird. Like the order in which the songs came up, like I feel like they should have, if they didn't have like a banger opening number, they should have started with a song that we knew already, and they already had the Huey Lewis and the News like songs on board, but like they just, where they put them didn't seem like the right places. But whatever, they're touring the country now, so
Sorry. Whatever.
I guess it can't be that bad.
Listen,
people are paying to see it, I guess.
people paid to see Phantom of the Opera for like 37 years. All right, like not, it doesn't always have to be super great.
I have seen Phantom twice.
I've seen it once and I enjoyed it. It was good, but it's also popcorn, right? Like that's what Back to the Future is. It's just popcorn. I mean, that's also true of the movies. They're just good.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. Oh man.
Anything else on your list, Ben?
That about covers it for what I want to talk about. It's hard to really encapsulate in this short podcast episode all of the things that I love about Back to the Future Part 2. You know, it just feels like it's so ingrained in me, like it's part of my DNA, you know, so
Yeah.
it's like it's hard to really touch on everything that I love about it, but it's just I think what it boils down to is that it's fun.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah. Well,
it's so
and I think that
fun.
it's worth being aware that we are in a privileged place based upon, as we talked about at the beginning, where we were born. I don't think any of us have a conscious memory of a time when there wasn't a Back to the Future and a Back to the Future 2.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Absolutely. They were my
Like,
sick day
this
movies.
has always been a part of the cultural landscape for the entirety of my life.
Yeah.
Yes.
Functionally.
Man, that
Even
is
before
wild.
I saw the movies, the ride was like the thing for me at Universal,
Mm-hmm.
which made me love going to that theme park. And then, like, I guess in turn, in conjunction with Disney, like made me fascinated with like theme park attractions and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, which is probably why I'm still so angry that it doesn't exist in anywhere in the world anymore.
Makes me sad.
For an incredibly subpar ride that needs to be replaced very soon. The Simpsons ride became outdated within years of existing. And
Shocking.
You know, it's just so bad.
Yeah. It's hard with Back to the Future now too, because like we are literally past the the marker that we were supposed to be like, oh my god, I can't believe we're gonna be there. And so I feel like that's part of it too. It's just not part of this generation's cultural zeitgeist in the same way. I sort of understand it. Part of that too, and I mean this in a very loving way. Part of it is that Michael J. Fox is pretty different now. Like he isn't. I don't think people think of him as like a, it's gonna sound weird, but like a sex icon. Like he kind of is in these movies. Like, right. And so I think that's part of it too.
He was the hottest shit that was out there at the time.
Absolutely. Like I feel like
now we love Michael J. Fox in a very different way.
Right?
Yeah,
we
you're
like
right.
love him, and he's made like wild medical stretches to like help people genetically. Like he's an incredible like icon in lots of ways, but like I don't think people of a super young generation really think about like. I mean, I feel that way. I don't think that about like many actors who are now in their 70s as being sexy. Like I never thought of like, oh my god, I can't even think of any off the top of my head.
Helen Mirren is still sexy.
Girl, so sexy.
Just saying.
She's hot as hell. That's true.
Yes.
Kurt Russell. That's who jumps into my head. I think of Kurt Russell and then I forget like, oh, that's right. He was like really hot for like both as an actor and also as like a person. I've seen
I got one.
Thing.
Henry Winkler.
Yes. I made a Fonz joke to somebody that I was dating recently and he didn't know what it meant. And I was like, uh-oh. I was like, how young are you? I'm going to need you to confirm for me what year you were born.
Can I see your ID, please?
Right, exactly.
That is a great way to ID people, yeah.
Like, what the fuck?
Are you too young to ride this ride?
Right, exactly.
Oh, no.
I was like, oh my God, I'm so old. Yeah, I made a joke about like being able to hit something and like turn it on. And so I just sent him a Fonz gif of the thing and he was just like, no clue. Had no idea what I was talking about. Oh no.
Oh, the guy from Barry? More people know him now from Arrested Development and Barry than anything, which is wild.
It's wild. Sure. It's so wild. Put that man
also
in a
great roles
jacket.
for him. He's great in them.
There's a Freddie Prinze Jr. rom-com that he's in. He plays his dad, and he's fantastic in that too. He plays like a professional chef. I remember he's talking about putting salt on things, and he's like, a sprinkle, and Freddie Prinze Jr. went, that's a shower of salt. And so I think of that when I cook now. Just a shower of salt. I don't even remember what that movie was called. It was one of the generation of many rom-coms. I loved all of them.
I'm trying to think of what it is now too. I'll look it up later.
No, it's gonna bother me until I figure it out later. Anyway.
Yes, I think at this point it is well documented what our answer is going to be, but the question that we ask on this podcast for everything, Erin, is Back to the
Yes.
Future Part 2 worth your time?
Absolutely, 1000%. I've watched it just what should be an illegal number of times, actually.
This goes for the entire Back to the Future trilogy, but I own it on just about every physical media you can. I have it on Blu-ray, DVD, VHS, Laserdisc. I have them all digitally. I've seen them all in theaters, like in multiple ways. It's just absolutely every chance you get. Please watch this movie. Please watch this franchise. It's like, I mean, it boils down to them all being really fun, but like these are examples of movies that are like well put together when you really like dissect them and take them apart and everything. Not only is each movie showing a 3-act structure with characters growing and changing throughout the movie, but the franchise is a 3-act story that unfolds. That's just, oh man, it wasn't appreciated properly at the time. It wasn't appreciated until much later. But now that we know better, get on the fucking steam-powered train.
Yeah, for real. This is one of the first things too, right? That like inspired that like genre. Like this is like the train and the way that it's designed, like that's steampunk. This like these are campy movies that involve steampunk, and like it is so crazy that it was so ahead of its time.
All right, party people, that does it for our review of Back to the Future Part 2. You can find us on the internet. I am at bsilverio20 on Instagram, X, Letterboxd, Blue Sky, all that stuff.
You can find me at NYD Urgency on Instagram.
You can find me at The Indecisionist on Blue Sky and all the meta properties. This has been an Indecisionist production. Special thanks to April Moralba for our podcast art, and to Marlon Longid of Marlon and the Shakes for our amazing theme song.
Yes, and if you still use social media platforms that have hashtags, you can use the hashtag time2party to join the conversation. That's time, the number 2 party.
As well as time, the number 2 party, all spelled out. Thanks to Warwick.
Thanks, Warwick.
Wow. Yeah, we're gonna come back again for another episode on Back to the Future Part 2 with next week's edutainment.
Yay.
So come back, friends. Join us, won't you? Please, because we love this movie, we love this franchise, we love having Erin back.
Yay! I'm so happy to be back.
So let's all hop in the DeLorean together and enjoy the time we have.
Yeah.
Until next time, friends, be excellent to each other.
Party on, dudes.
I'm surprised I remembered that score properly. It wasn't so.
It wasn't just canon and D.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying.